everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Celeste, and for today's video I thought I'd share with you my story of when I met my favorite actor and celebrity crush, Paul Walker. So I really didn't know too much about Paul Walker until 2001 when I saw the Fast and the Furious movie. And so I just remember seeing that scene in the beginning of the movie where he's in the car, in the green car, and they pan to his face and you see his just beautiful blue eyes, and so instantly I fell in love with him. I thought he was so handsome, so cute. So I was like, ooh, I want to know more about him. I kind of like was researching to see what other movies he had been in, and you know, like kind of kept up with his career. I ended up going to see like pretty much all his movies after that in 2001. So it's funny because I would always tell my mom that I would love to meet Paul Walker someday. It would be a dream come true if I got to meet him. And so the fact that I actually got to meet him was so amazing, and seriously, I never in a million years thought that I was actually going to meet him in person, let alone at like a Denny's in San Diego. Usually when you think of meeting a famous celebrity, it's like in Hollywood at like some famous restaurant or at a red carpet event or movie premiere or something. But I actually met him in at Denny's in San Diego. So it was back in 2005. Like I mentioned, it was 15 years ago, over 15 years ago. And at the time I was taking piano lessons, so I was on a field trip. And we all decided that we were going to go eat at Denny's afterwards. I guess it was like the closest place nearby. So we went to Denny's, and I just remember we were sitting towards the back of the restaurant. I was on one side of the table with the students. My mom was on the other side of the table with the parents and my piano teacher. I didn't know about this conversation till much later, but she told me later on that she was talking to my piano teacher, and he mentioned to her, oh, there's like a group of guys that they look like they're in the military, but there's this one guy that looks super familiar, like he looks like that guy from the Fast and the Furious movie. And so obviously my mom knew what he was talking about, so she asked him, oh, is it the bald guy or the blonde guy? And he goes, the blonde guy. So my mom got up to see if it was him, and so then she comes over to me, and I'm, you know, at the table with my friends talking, and she comes up and goes, hey Celeste, come on, get up, come follow me. And everybody was confused. Like I was like, what's going on? And so I got up and I followed her, and so we were walking towards the front of the restaurant, and she goes, okay, so right now when we pass this table, look to your right and tell me who's sitting there. So I looked to my right, and I couldn't believe it. It was Paul Walker. He was literally like sitting right there, and I literally like gasped. I went, oh, like, yeah, I was like freaking out because I couldn't believe that it was him. So all I can think of is I just like ran straight into the restroom. I was crying, I was freaking out. I just couldn't believe that it was him, because like I mentioned, I had always been telling my mom, oh, it would be a dream come true if I got to meet him. And so it was so crazy that on this random Saturday in June, there was Paul Walker at Denny's. The good thing is my mom, she had her camera, so she went out to the car to get it, and I was in the bathroom kind of like fixing myself up, trying to not look like I was just crying. So I remember coming out of the restroom, and he and his friends were already paying for their food, and then obviously like the waitresses recognized him, and so they were taking pictures with him and kind of hanging all over him. And so my mom went up to him and said, oh, hi, is it okay if can we take a picture with you? And he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll just be right back. So he left, and then we were talking to one of his friends, and my mom asks him, so is that really Paul Walker? And he goes, yep, that's him. So then Paul Walker comes back, and I got to take my picture with him first, and I just remember like standing right next to him, and then he had his hand on my back. I was like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, like Paul Walker's hand is on my back, like he's right next to me, I'm taking this picture with him, like what's going on? Ah. So yeah, so I got to take my picture with him, and then my mom also got to take her photo with him as well. And then afterwards we were just kind of talking with him for a little bit, maybe like 5 minutes. I really don't even remember what we talked about, because I was still like in shock, I guess, that he was literally like right here, right in front of me. And so at one point of our conversation, he happened to look down, and I was wearing my Converse shoes, and he goes, oh hey, nice shoes. And I go, oh thanks. And so then my mom, of course, being a mom, she totally had to embarrass me in front of him, and she goes, oh, well, you know why she wears them? She wears them because of you. And then he goes, oh, cool. And so yeah, that was kind of embarrassing, but it was kind of cool that he noticed that I was wearing Converse. And so so we were just talking to him for a little bit. Like I mentioned, I don't even remember what we talked about because I was freaking out. Couldn't believe that he was literally right there. So yeah, that was that. And then he just said, oh, okay, well, we have to go now, and you know, it was nice meeting you or something, I think. And so he left. And so we went back to our group, and everybody's like, what? Like, what happened? Where'd you guys go? We thought you left or something. And we're like, we just met Paul Walker. They're like, what? Like, really? Like, so cool and all this stuff. So yeah, it was like crazy, but so amazing. And he was really the most sweetest, kindest celebrity I have ever met. And Paul Walker was just really, he was so down to earth, so sweet, so kind. And you could tell that he cared about people. Like when he was speaking with us, like he was looking at you, and you could tell that he was like, you know, he was paying attention to you. He wasn't just like, oh, these people just came up to me, asked, you know, for a photo or whatever. No, like he was actually interested in us. And like I mentioned, he commented on my shoes, like, wow. So yeah, like I've said this before, that he was just a normal guy who happened to be famous. And I know after he passed in 2013, which is his anniversary was about, so his 7th year anniversary was actually a few days ago. And so I just remember hearing all these stories of, you know, things that he had done for people, and no one knew about it till after he passed. So that's the kind of person that he was. Like he did things without being acknowledged for it. Like a lot of people came out and said, oh, you know, he bought an engagement ring. Like there was, I know, a veteran that he was at a jewelry store and he couldn't afford the ring, and Paul Walker was there, and he happened to hear the whole conversation, and he ended up purchasing the ring for them. And he told the jewelry store, like, I'm buying it for them, but don't tell them. So things like that, where like people, he did things, but he never did it with an intent to be recognized for it. So I thought that was amazing. And like I mentioned, he was truly such a sweet guy, so down to earth. And I think if I didn't know he was a celebrity, I just would have thought he's just this really random nice guy that I just met, you know. And for those of you that know, he founded ROW, which is Reach Out Worldwide. They go out to different countries or, you know, cities, states where there's been a natural disaster. So if there's like a tsunami, a hurricane, they go out and provide care, medical care, water, food, whatever they need. They go out and help out. So Paul Walker, he didn't just put his name on his foundation. He actually, like, he didn't just give money like, you know, some celebrities tend to do. They'll just give money and that's it. No, he actually put in the work. He went out, like he went out to Haiti and other different countries when natural disasters happened, and he actually helped out. He was there helping people, and which I found to be such a great thing. And in 2013, I actually was at work at the time, and I didn't know about what had happened till afterwards. I remember I received a text from a cousin of mine saying, hey, is this real? Like, did Paul Walker die? And I'm like, what? Like, I remember looking at the text and like I had to reread it because it didn't click till I reread it, and I was like, what? No, like this can't be true. And so I remember just Googling, and at the time there was really nothing online of what had happened. And I know on Twitter people were thinking it was a hoax. I thought it was a hoax. So it really wasn't until I saw his Facebook post, or you know, the official post that they did on his Facebook, where they announced that yes, it was true, he had passed away. And I couldn't believe it. I was like in shock. And to think that he passed so young, and the way he passed away was so, you know, so sad. And I remember that day crying. Like, I literally cried when I heard that he passed away, because it was like just so sad. And I know, like, in the past I had heard people crying over celebrities that had passed away and never really understood it. But I think when he passed, I just like, wow, it hit me, because I met him, you know, I met him in person. And yes, it may have only been for 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so, whatever. But, you know, I felt like I knew him. And so it's just like, wow, it hit me that he was gone. And to think that to this day. It's been 7 years. It's so crazy. It seems just like yesterday that I heard the news that he had passed. But yeah, like that experience of meeting Paul Walker that day back in 2005 was such an amazing day. Dream come true. Never, like I mentioned, I've already said this before, but never in a million years would I have thought that I would have met Paul Walker. And the fact that I did is just so amazing, and it's a day that I'll remember forever, and I'll be telling my kids someday, grandkids, you know, in the future, how I met Paul Walker and that he was just the sweetest, most kindest person that I had ever met. And so yeah, so that is my experience, or my story of when I met my favorite actor, Paul Walker. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything, want to know more, leave a comment in the description below. So thank you so very much for subscribing to this channel, for giving this video a thumbs up, and I guess I'll see you next time. Bye!